Pete Sampson with Tim Priester atop the Notre Dame press box about a couple hours before the spring game. And I guess at this point, we've talked about what we want to watch on our podcast. But I guess individuals, themes, what do you want to see first today?
Well, first of all, the defense has been installed by us as a 6.5-point favorite, or Vegas has actually set that line. I guess you want to see the strength be the strength, and I think the way we perceive it right now, the defensive line should have an advantage over the offensive line, whether that's ones versus ones, twos versus twos, mixing them up, whatever. Having said that, I think the passing game, I think they're going to throw the ball around quite a bit today. And that's what we want to see. We want to see Brandon Wimbush have some success in front of a crowd, not a typical full home crowd, not a typical fall game, but have him come back here in front of an audience and perform well.
I am kind of curious about the offensive line against the defensive line, because I feel like the offensive line should still win. It's still Bars and Mustipher and Kramer and Hainsey, and but Eichenberg in particular, that's a spot. That's an individual matchup I want to watch. I really would like to see Josh Lugg today, because that's who hasn't really got any action out here before. And then, for how good Brandon Wimbush was just last weekend, to do that here, and then Ian Book as well. I think both of us feel like there really isn't a quarterback competition, but I would still like to see Ian Book treat it as if there was.
Yeah, and I guess, as far as offensive line versus defensive line, the discrepancy it's greater twos versus twos than it certainly would be one versus ones. But, Ian Book's going to perform well because that's what backup quarterbacks or those vying for the starting spot do in blue gold games, and he performed well last week. So I expect him to do that. It'll just be fun to see the receivers and the connections between the two quarterbacks and the receivers, because I think we saw some good things from the receiving core and tight ends as well.
Yeah, I mean, safety, that position at large, I'm very curious to see. I think Jonathan Jones would be one of those individuals I want to see, because backup linebackers is not really a strength of this team. And then, beyond that, can you get like a Javon McKinley going? Can Michael Young sort of build on the way last season ended? So there's, some bits and pieces where I think this is an interesting spring game, where I think in years past this had an opportunity to sort of settle something about Notre Dame. I don't think that's the case today, but there are sort of components to Notre Dame that we should still learn a little bit about today.
Asmar Bilal would be a player that you'd like to see perform well, make a play. Maybe force a turnover, something along those lines. And a guy that I've been talking about all spring, Troy Pride, who appears to be a starter as long as they keep, Crawford at the nickel position. But you just like to, in front of an audience where it counts a little bit more and there's a little bit more, quote, pressure, you'd like to see some of the guys that have showed well when we've been in there in front of a bigger audience today.
Yeah, so not a ton to learn today, but there will be definitely some interesting storylines to follow coming out of the Blue Gold game here this afternoon. You can read all about it. We'll have post-game instant analysis as well on IrishIllustrated.com.